Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here from Smirking Gun Reviews. Today we're talking about, well, you clicked on it, you saw the long intro if you didn't fast forward through it. Sorry for being a little self-indulgent there, but we're going to be talking about The Good Place. I just finished watching the series finale, and it might be one of those shows that you could say, why the hell didn't I ever review this show? Well, that reason's very simple. Sometimes there's something that you like so much that you really don't want to share it with anybody else. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. There's those special things that you like to keep to yourself. Now, I bought this shirt. I've worn this shirt many times in other videos while I walk around. It's just one of my favorite shirts of all time. But now that the show is over and the finale is done and all of it's over, and I feel like it's time for me to talk about The Good Place. A show that shouldn't exist. A show that should have been canceled a long time ago. Why do I say that? I say it because this show is way too good. Shows that are like way this good get canceled. Shows that are this intelligent get canceled. Shows that challenge people's belief systems and the ways of thinking and actually use its brain, those shows get canceled. Something original gets canceled. People say they want originality, but they really just want different versions of the same fucking thing over and over and over and over again. That's why cop shows, lawyer shows, procedurals, they'll never fucking die. But a show like The Good Place comes along, and I honestly was like, well, this is a great idea. Too bad it's only going to last one season, if that. Here we are all this time later, and somehow it got a finale. Somehow it found an audience. Somehow it was able to stay on the air. And to me, that is unprecedented for a show that most, really, to me, realistically, most people don't even deserve. This show is too good for mass audiences. Somehow it survived. And I'm happy for it. And I don't mean to sound insulting, but the majority of people that watch things, they go to the movies, they keep shows like NCIS on the air and eat vanilla ice cream and fucking Fast and the Furious movies, no offense. If they're watching this shit and at the same time, I don't know what to say. It just, in this universe, it doesn't make sense that this show gets to exist. And so I'm pleased to say that it does. And throughout this entire run, and not every episode was a home run, not every episode was, but every single one brought something new to the table. It brought something interesting, brought something thought-provoking to the table. It made you, if you weren't already thinking like this, it talked to you about how to treat each other as people. It taught each other ethically, it taught us about ethics. And it didn't do it by dumbing it down. Even though it tried to talk to the audience so that you could understand it, but it also didn't hold your hand at times. And we used this really goofy premise to tell a very intelligent story that wasn't just about heaven and hell and limbo and everything like that. It was about how we should be as people, how we can be as people, the potential of the human spirit. That even the dumbest of person and the most evil of person and even the most supposedly good person, we all have things we can learn from each other. And I found myself quite overwhelmed by the finale. I'm standing up because in this video, because sitting down talking about it just feels weird. I need to be up and around. This is all improvised, so I didn't make any notes. But by the end of this episode, I was... Well, first I had to watch it on Hulu with commercials because I have a terrible plan that I made with the Disney Plus bundle that I thought, oh, cool, put all that together and I'll get to watch Hulu. I'll get Hulu, ESPN, and Disney Plus for one low price. Unfortunately, I didn't read the fine print and I have Hulu with fucking commercials. So I had to watch this incredible finale with 90-second commercials in there, like I'm watching it on TNT or TBS. It has commercials like every 2 seconds. So hopefully one of these days I'll be able to watch this. I'll buy the DVD or the Blu-ray so I can watch this whole thing without all the commercials in it. That kind of took away from the experience because when it was over, I was like, oh my god, wait, it says we got like 12 more minutes left. Instead, we jumped to Seth Meyers saying goodbye to everybody, and I didn't watch that part. I didn't watch that part because I didn't want to hear all the. Oh, I just wanted to just process for a second and start talking about it. And so, it's basically how we say goodbye to everybody on the show in some form or another, and this episode even tries to, I think, teach you about how it's okay to embrace our own mortality. I myself plan to never embrace my mortality. I plan, the funny things about, mice and men and making plans and all that stuff. I plan on not going quietly into that good night. I plan to rage and rage before the dying of the light. But who knows? Who knows? Because I always say, man, as soon as I'm able to put my brain in a robot body, sign me up, okay? Because I don't want to die. This didn't make me feel any better about my mortality. It just made me think of it even more. And I don't believe in any kind of afterlife system. But this show made me wish that there was, or wish that I did believe in one. Because it'd be nice to know that, like, when you get there, you could go on forever as long as you want. I also found myself caring more than I thought I would about certain characters that never really I considered to be that important. I, for one, never really cared for Jason. I thought he was funny and cute and everything. Like, he was silly. But when he decides, and full spoilers, by the way, right? I should have, I put that at the beginning of the video. When he made his decision to leave because he had played the perfect game of Madden, I thought that was so fitting for the character that, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody's going to have that light bulb aha moment that, we'd all like to have. For him, that was it. Even though it meant that he was leaving and his dad and his friends were staying, he decided that was when he was going to leave. Now, it turns out he never leaves until the very end. But we at first thought he went through, and I found myself really caring. I was like, no. But I think it was mostly because I realized that once this was what this is about, then it meant that everybody else is going too. And so when he left, I was like, oh God, well, it just made sense how it goes. And we get to Tahani, and it was so nice to see that she was able to, make peace with her sister, with this whole new system that they put into place. And her parents, they got through the system, and they learned their lessons. And then instead of leaving, she decides to become an architect. And that's pretty much how I would roll if there was an afterlife when I was up there. Is I'd never go through that door. I would just find new things. But I would always be constantly amazed. I would just be walking the earth forever. I unlike Chidi, who was able to find, he just reached his pinnacle of eternity. I could just walk the earth forever, just looking at everything in amazement. Because, you could do that for eternity. You could see new planets. I don't know. But it was nice to see how she got her own thing. I feel like that's also in character, that she's never going to be satisfied. She was always going to try to work on something else. And so we get to Chidi, which this one was really hard because it's like, how does this, how does Elinor go on without Chidi? But they did it in such a great way, letting this guy who could never make a decision and all the growth that he went through have these last moments being himself and taking her, her taking him places. And by doing that, she's thinking of making him stay, but really she's realizing that she's convincing herself that he needs, that she's okay with him leaving. And the whole say goodbye before you leave thing, so that, before I wake up in the morning, and then to find the calendar there was just perfect. And throughout this whole thing, Ted Danson going, his Michael character going through his own thing, how he can't leave, and them figuring out to make him human. And so setting him down to earth as a human being so that he can experience life as a human and not a demon anymore, knowing that he'll die someday and he'll go through the process. I the only thing about that, well, we'll get to that in just a second. The only thing I didn't like about that part, but it's fine. It's fine once I get around to what I'm talking about. But then we finally get to Elinor and how she's come to her deciding to leave too, and how she goes to the medium place and helps her out there. I also liked what they did with Derek. That was pretty funny as well, and how taking that last person that was the extreme version of her and helping her out was her last bit of thing that she needed to do. My only problem was I wanted Elinor to be there when Michael came back. I think the show started with those two meeting, and I think it should have ended with those two re-meeting, so that they could again catch up. I honestly I thought it was beautiful that she went through, but at the same time I wanted her to stay to at least see Michael before she went through. But that's not even a nitpick, that's just a personal choice. um, all the different callbacks that they had in this were all perfect. It wasn't in your face. Ted meeting Mary Steenburgen in on Earth was a really nice touch. Tahani learning how to make a chair from Nick Offerman. I really wanted them to say his name was Ron Swanson. Was I the only one thinking that you wanted it to be Ron Swanson? I mean, either way is good, but I just kind of wanted them to make a little, a little nod to Parks and Recreation. With I don't think it would have been too cheap. I don't think it would have been too cheesy. I mean, if she just said "Thank you, Mr. Swanson" as he walked away, that would have just been the best. Um, but her actually deciding to go through at the end was really, man, I haven't been this affected by a finale, I think, since The Leftovers. Oh boy, I always do this. Leave the controller far away so it goes dark on me. I have not been this affected by a finale since The Leftovers ended. And in kind of the same way, this bittersweet feeling of like The Leftovers was such a powerful, dramatic, emotional show. And this show was always it hit me on a cerebral level. It made me think about things that I normally wouldn't think about or give a chance to. But it also taught me more about morality and ethics. And, I know a lot about it, but it made me think about how we treat people. And then also made me think about, different belief systems and thought processes that I don't normally let myself think about because I'm pretty closed off about things like the afterlife and things like that, because this show did not convince me in any way about all those things, but like I said, it did make me wish I did. um, that being said, I don't want to go on for too long about it, but it was all really great, and I'm sure I'm going to remember tons of things that I could have brought up after it's all over with. But if you have not watched The Good Place yet, if this is your first time watching anybody talk about it, if you're one of the people that subscribe to my channel and you've never seen this before, please go back and rewatch the show from the beginning if and if you've never checked it out, because it's a really special show. It means a lot to me, and I'm probably going to go back and just start rewatching it from the beginning, just because now that it's over, I need to see the beginning again. I need to relive all this. This is going to be like how I feel about The Office and Parks and Recreation, that I can pretty much watch those shows pretty much continuously on a loop. And now I have a third show that I can add to that little grouping of comedy made by basically the same people. So anyway, that's The Good Place. I know that this is just kind of a synopsis about how I felt about the finale and just about the series in general, but hats off to everyone on this show, because honestly, I've not always been the biggest Kristen Bell fan, but this show kind of turned me around in a lot of ways about her. Ted Danson has always been, He's not just going to be Sam Malone to me anymore, even though Cheers is like my favorite sitcom of all time. But and the gentleman, I always forget his name, that played Chidi. He is such a great actor. Everybody involved in this was just fantastic, and I can't recommend this show highly enough. So holy motherfucking fork and shirt balls, everybody! The show is over, and I can't wait to watch it again for many years into the future. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. You can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews, and have a great day. Treat each other kindly, and let's not walk through that door until we're ready. Bye.